When we're trying to grow wealth, when should a client actually loop an accountant in? What's the ideal time?
At the beginning, and start with the end in mind, not just taking that next step, because again, where we see clients get hamstrung is not thinking about steps 2, 3 and 4.
So what are your philosophies around property buying and how do you use this with your client?
I've seen a lot of strategies online when it comes to property. Look, all strategies can work, but my personal philosophy is that I prefer to let the market do the hard work and not me. So I personally prefer to buy existing properties and just hold it for a long period of time. And I just know it works.
Talking about creating wealth, generational wealth, what should parents actually be thinking of?
One, when do we want to give money to the kids? The other component is, back to estate planning. And then also things like insurance, that there's a need for it, particularly when you're building wealth. And then as we have wealth, we can then scale it back down.
Go slow to go fast, and we'll get there. Doesn't matter how long it takes, but we'll get there safely, and it won't stunt your growth. It will keep you moving forward. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Finances Property That. He's back from an unfortunate surfing trip. Maybe, well, I don't know whether it was surfing, but it's an unfortunate trip. But he's back. Chris McNulty, the man, the myth, the legend behind One Lycora Street, who I'm sure if you've listened to my previous podcasts and my reel on Instagram, I've been banging on about it. But I thought I'd get Chris in. I don't think we're not quite doubling on the podcast numbers like we thought we were. It was like 18 or 21 and 42 or something like that. But we're here. We're here. And a bit of a special episode because we're going to do a little bit more than just one episode. So stay tuned for the second one. But mate, thanks for coming on. And what's going on? I just heard in the green room that you may need surgery on the arm.
Yes, I broke my arm about 7-8 weeks ago in Thailand. Unfortunately, not a very exciting story. I slipped over in a shower. True story. I'm 80 years old by the sounds of it.
Wasn't a surfing trip?
No, it wasn't a surfing accident. I didn't crash a scooter. Nothing exciting, which is a real waste of an opportunity for a story.
None of that like Hangover Part 3 type story.
No. It was the most boring thing ever. And the surgeon, the doctor is meant to be calling me in about 2-3 hours to tell me whether I need surgery on my elbow, which is scary. But here I am.
Well, luckily you don't need one arm. To you
don't need one arm to do deals.
Yeah, and you can just record everything. And,
absolutely.
And yeah, technology's come so far to do your job, which is being a bloody good buyer's agent. And mate, when I work with partners, the proof's in the pudding, right?
Oh yeah.
You never ever. You only work with people you know, like, and trust. And then, we've found. Obviously, you found us One Lycora Street, and I want to really get into that today.
Yeah.
Talk about how it was found, what was the thought process behind the decisions, and a couple of things I think, where what you're seeing in the market where investors, people that don't pay for advice, get things wrong. Right?
Sure.
So, mate, let's get cracking, eh? Mm-hmm. Mate, so when you guys found, it's been a process, right?
Yeah.
When you guys found first Lycora Street, what made you believe, because we're basically going to turn that from 740 to 1.6 million easily, what made you believe that site could be the gem or the diamond that it could be like?
Well, I think the one thing that gets missed in this stuff is, sure, everybody looks at this now in hindsight. Market's gone up, the demand for those sort of properties has gone up significantly as well. But at the time, it certainly made sense to buy it. But there was at the time when we purchased it, there was a level of like, okay, well, this looks good. It ticks the boxes. But the thing that's taken it from a really good decision to an exceptional decision is, time, market growth, and also just the structuring of the investment of the characteristics of it that allowed it to grow the way it did with that market growth.
Yeah, mate, I can tell you the pink walls didn't do it any justice.
No, and yeah, of course. And so now we look back at that and it was 740, right?
Yeah, well, we didn't get it first go.
No, we didn't.
No,
we didn't get it first go. We,
you guys found the deal, and from my memory, I think we missed out on it.
We did.
by 10 grand.
We did.
Then we tried a couple of other sites. Mm-hmm. I think my words, these are my words, these aren't your words. We got screwed by agents.
Oh, yeah.
Like
every
hard.
day.
Like, it
Yeah,
was
of course.
So bad. And then we came back to it because, well, I think
Someone's
fell-
finance fell through. And so they paid, I think someone offered $760 for it, which it's
yeah.
funny. Now we look at that and go, if you could buy that for $760, I would have 30 clients clamoring over themselves to pay $760 for that today. But at the time, that seemed a little bit expensive for what it was. And then it came back and they said $750 because the finance had fallen through. They really needed the settlement. And then I think we hit them 10 grand on building and pest, yeah?
We offered 740.
Oh, we just offered at 740.
Because then they came back and were like, well,
I remember
think
we offered
Jen-
less than what it had under contract for, and they didn't have a lot of space to move, and wanted to do the deal.
Yeah, and I think that, and we were organised, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, a good broker did it, didn't it? Right. So,
absolutely.
we were very, very organised with our numbers and getting prepared for this. I think you found us the deal, but I don't think it would have gone through as smooth. We probably would have had another issue with finance if we weren't ready.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I think having everything aligned is really important. It's like having all the right consultants, having everybody in the right place. It's not necessarily that they have to be the absolute best, but they have to be pretty good.
Yep.
For everybody, lawyer, planner, mortgage broker, buyer's agent, everybody has to be really good. And, you had that, and that's what we always do with our clients is, like, I've recently banned people from using cut price conveyances. Literally banned them because it's like it screws the deal so badly that I'm just like, I would rather not do a deal than work with you and your cut price conveyancer.
Yeah, and cut price. I'm not saying we're not bagging out another business, but hey, proofs in the pudding. We've had a lot of those like just those little tiny conveyancing, conveyancing connection, all that sort of stuff.
Look, they serve their purpose,
Yeah.
but just not for very serious property deals that are hard to buy, hard to come by.
And we can't be falling over settlement.
No.
And I think, you get back to your point where, like, the deal was found, but the deal would never have come to fruition if the organisation wasn't there and we had all the ducks lined up to a point where it's like, bang, 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 let's go, pull the trigger. And I think that's where we got a bit off topic, but mate, like, the disorganisation of some investors in the market, the reality versus expectation is phenomenal. They just expect to get deals done without any planning or preparation. I'll just sign a contract without even knowing what I can do. How about that?
2 days ago, I had these clients fumble a deal terribly. Had expectations that this was going to be really easy. And they complained that I was putting pressure on them, which my response was, yes, I am putting pressure on you. You're trying to buy the most in-demand, sought-after, highly picked-over property in the entire city. Realestate.com says it's worth $880,000. We're about to put a contract up on this at $825,000, and you're fumbling. What's going on? And sort of thought that I wouldn't be pressuring them to sign that. Of course I'm pressuring to sign that deal.
You've got 5 other people ready to go.
That is a like a unicorn deal. It's like, so yeah, like anybody that think you work with me, yes, if we find a really good deal, I will be on your back forcing you to sign that contract.
Because bloody hell, time kills deals.
Absolutely. And it was because they weren't organised. They didn't really know what they were doing. None of the people were property people, and they fumbled it. And then, they then said to me, oh, well, we'll consider it if you can answer all these questions. And I just got on the phone to another client, had this contract signed with that other client in half an hour, and he bought it.
Yeah. That's the cost.
That's how it works.
So what? They bought something at $825. It was worth $8.
Look, maybe it's worth $850 or something.
$850, right? So
but, like, it was a deal.
It's 20 grand. They just lost 20 grand from doing nothing.
Well, not to mention the project.
Yeah, plus the rest.
The $300,000 of uplift in the project.
And you'll never get that again.
Well, yeah.
Or as in like that.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because because you're not going to get the 740 unicorn again either.
No. Those sites, I think it's important to tell everybody. When did you purchase that? It was August? Or July?
September, October last year.
Oh, right. September. Wow. September last year. And now we're here in March 2026. So what's that? 6 months later.
6 months later.
the site value of that would be over $950 now. Someone would come and pay over $950,000 for that house, which is crazy. And it's actually making us question that entire strategy and that location because people are overpaying for it too much. But at the time when we did the deal, it was the right strategy. There was significantly value in it. And it's not this, I want to shoot down this idea that like, oh, well, if it's a value add, then it's good. It's like, well, it's a value add and it's good if you can demonstrate the value add potential of it.
Yeah.
Whereas like that might not be the case now. Like you're talking about $740,000 purchase going to $1.6 million. Let's be like, how much are you spending there? $450 to get to that point, would you say? Let's call it $450. $460, so we're rounding the numbers up.
About $450.
$450, we'll call it $460 so that this...
It's actually $1.25 million exact to the dollar.
Okay, $1.25 million.
That's just cost. That doesn't include
and that
interest
includes
or
like
anything.
our fees,
That's
stamps.
all your fees, stamps, everything. And that's just
1.25.
hard costs.
Yeah.
Not including interest or anything like that.
So $1.25 million to get to 1.6.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty good. Anybody would do that. Okay. Put at least $200,000, $250,000 more on the purchase price. That 1.25 goes to 1.5 on a 1.6 end value, and all of a sudden that's a bad deal. And so it's not that dual occupancy projects and value add projects, splitter blocks are the best. It's like they can be if you know what to look for, you know when to time the market, you can tell when a market is right for it, when the value gap is there. And I think that's, you spoke about earlier of like where people go wrong is an assumption of a certain strategy is a magic bullet strategy. A strategy creates leverage if you're able to execute it correctly and you know what you're looking for. Comes down to having all the right people on the team.
Yeah, correct. And the strategy is only good as the execution.
Yeah.
So you can have all the strategy you want.
Well,
you can muck around for like 6 months and you're actually, we're better than where you were. What's the point in even paying for the strategy, paying for the advice, going through the process? You just lost 6 months and you're out of the market.
And there's another really important part. Execution of the strategy, yes, but also the assumptions that are essentially underwriting the strategy. Like, so for example, like what's the cost of building this? What are the things going to be worth at the end? Can you actually do the thing that you're planning to do? If the answer to those things is a bit wishy-washy, if it's a bit uncertain, then you're in major problems. Like for these types of value add projects like yours, we're up to project, I've lost track, but I think it's about 45 or 44, something like that now. They're boring, they're cookie cutter, they're all pretty much the same, using all the same contractors for every single thing. Never had a project go over budget. That's why. And also now we've got to the point where we can value the end product so well because we've been looking at it for so long and done it for so long. It's like we've got a lot of certainty in that. So the assumptions underlining the strategy is equal to that execution. And without both of those in alliance, like you're wrong. Like if you have your build cost short by $100,000, it's like, well, that's gone from what you thought was a really good deal to a terrible deal.
Yeah, because I think we overestimated.
We did.
A lot of the stuff.
That's actually one of my secrets is I always overestimate.
We have to.
I overestimate cost, underestimate values.
Always like...
everyone's happy at the end.
Whenever I send you a client, I'm always underestimating the rental.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know what the rent's going to be, but let's say if it's this price, we're just going to use lower than the average percentage because it's easier because if it's not, then...
Well, it's also the sign of a good strategy or not. If you have the ability, if the strategy is solid enough that allows you to have extra contingencies on a build and undercook the end values, it means that it's pretty robust. If the other way is the case and you have to say, the market's going to grow 5% or 10% in the next year, so the end values are going to be this and you're going light on the construction costs and stuff like that. It's like, well, it shows that the strategy itself is probably pretty weak if that's what's required to justify it and demonstrate it as a good deal.
And I think that, the numbers behind it, like what you're saying is the execution will get the numbers as well.
Yeah.
But, looking at Lycora Street, when they advertised it, I mean, it had great location. It's a corner block.
Yep.
So two-way street access. But also, do you remember the ad
Yep.
that they had for
Granny
it?
flat potential.
Granny flat potential.
I remember that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, granny flat potential. And I look at that and I go, beauty. We've got an agent and an owner that don't know what they're selling. And that for me is a big sign of let's go for it. And, now it's 2 years on from when we've started this type of strategy. Happens all the time. All the time. Like there's one agent that very proudly puts up in Logan, puts up these for sales and it says, confirmed granny flat site. And I look at it and I just go, you idiot. I really do. I just think, oh my God, like you. And then there's other, like, and I'm waiting for them to build enough of these, but one very popular buyer's agent that's actually running around buying these sites and building granny flats on them. And I'm going to wait until they've done enough of them and then sort of just drop a bomb that they've built granny flats on sites that they could have actually built a whole new house on and put it on a separate
For
title.
roughly about the same amount.
Well, look,
Same,
it would have
same.
cost another $100,000-$200,000, but the amount of equity creation would have been another $500,000.
Well, because the build on my one, because it's not a very big block,
No.
it was, and we're not putting a garage in.
Yeah.
So I say 50 grand on the
Yeah,
garage.
it's a simple build.
Yep, simple build, 50 grand on the garage.
It's like 250, yeah?
250 for the base house, inclusive of all the
Yeah,
inclusions.
yeah.
Mate, the house is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
It's got all the like really fancy appliances. That's all standard. Security screens, everything's solar.
Yeah.
It's got all that. But mate, we're just putting carports. And also, I had talked about this in a podcast with Mark from Urbicus.
Yeah.
There's no way we'd be putting garages there. Not one house on that street has a garage. They've all got carports.
Yeah.
And they're open carports with
Yeah.
not even garage doors across them.
And that comes down to a really good point here of not overcapitalizing, of meeting the market, of knowing that, your house is in Crestmead. Crestmead's great. It's a gentrifying location, all of that, but it's very easy to overcapitalize there. Like our saying in the office is cheap, cheerful, good enough. And, I mean that, and I really mean that of like, good enough is like we are not building these junk houses. Clients get these ideas and they think, oh, geez, these houses, you're building it for $250,000 must be just a complete piece of crap. And then they say, I just want to see one of these houses what we're building. Every single time, client goes, gee, that's a lot better than what I thought. How do you build it so cheap? It's like, well, we just build the same sort of style of house with the same sort of type of project builder. There's nothing fancy about it. It's all stock standard.
It doesn't need to be because it's
not
an
a custom built house.
No.
Like, yeah.
And even like looking at the front house, which the pink walls and the peach skirtings and everything, like we
Pretty
put a
basic
bit of,
house.
put a bit of elbow grease in it. Look, now to be honest, there were things that we did ourselves and that we found out later on and that we fixed because we were like, well, let's just spend the money now because there's not a house out the back now. We can actually probably get some of this external stuff done prior, like
it was clever.
the stormwater stuff, spent an extra $5,000. I think all up we spent about 50 to 55,000 on the reno, but it was done really well. New flooring, new kitchen, which we paid $600 for, so I'm pretty proud. I love a good bargain.
Yeah.
The lights, all the electrics were redone, new paint. It just looked like a brand new house. We did a bit of external work. I painted the patio. It's now like woodland grey and all that sort of stuff. We ripped out the old carport. We're going to put a new carport in there. But it's going to look, it's cracking. Someone's already renting it out for $630 a week.
Wow. What's the rental yield on that? If something you bought for $740,000, that's probably a 4% rental yield or something, 4.2 or something, I don't know.
But it's also, there's a construction going out the back. They
and
still paid it.
And they've lost half their yard. Well, they've lost half the property, their yard almost.
Yeah.
And they're paying $630 a week.
But the agent, when we first got it, was only quoting $580.
Yeah. Oh, market growth.
Well, also, it looks much nicer than $580.
Yeah, well, that's right. You've actually made it a lot better.
Like, it made it very livable. And they're great. Like, they don't need it. Like, it's a brother and a sister just living there. It's
amazing.
It's nice enough. And it's good. Like, I think, Jana was like, I just want to make this nice for someone to live in and comfortable.
Yeah, of course.
She's more the heart of the...
Yeah.
does the heart, and I'm just like, This is a business. Like,
Yeah, you're a bit more like me.
It's
Yeah.
I want to be detached. No emotion, detached.
I'm looking at numbers, not laundries, and thinking whether it'd be nice to live in it.
Why is the laundry there?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere. That's where it is.
But that property actually has a massive front yard because it's on the corner.
Yes.
As well. So, we're in two minds whether we fence it off for privacy
I think
or not.
you should.
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah,
I think
that's what we
will.
always get our clients to do when they've got the open space in that road reserve between the house and the the curb and all of that. It's about depending on the house, 6 to 10 meters, something like that. We generally do that because then it gives that feel of like, okay, we've got some privacy. But
I'll probably do that once we finish because I think the stormwater has to go underneath and around. So it's turned into be quite well. And I think 1.6 is pretty conservative.
It's very conservative
based on last year's figures.
It's probably closer to 1.7 now. Realistically, you should probably be updating that. But I think it's really important to identify like why that has happened.
Yeah. So why is that?
Yeah. Well, why that's happened is like the strategy itself gave you the leverage for that to happen because when you bought that property, you weren't buying $740,000 of real estate. When you were buying that property, you were buying a existing house on a small lot and a new house that is yet to be built. And so then what happened is the market supercharged in a 6-month period in an extreme way, and you got the value uplift of 2 houses, not of one. And so, you say how you turning 740 into 1.6. When we purchased that property, it was more like turning 1.7 million into 740,000 into 1.5 million dollars. And that now it probably is 1.7, and because houses out there have probably gone up $100,000 in general, but you've got 2 of them. And so that's like leveraging leverage. Like people say in real estate, like, oh, real estate's great because you can leverage, only put a 20% deposit down and borrow the 80%. But in that case, it's like you put your 20% deposit down, and sure, you need to put some deposits down and fund some of the build. But you've put what's 20%? What deposit did you put down?
20% plus costs.
So 20% plus costs. So
$592 loan on a $740,000 property.
Yeah.
Then
you put 200 in. Let's call it.
Yeah, 200.
200 of cash in.
Yeah.
And when the market has gone up $100,000, which would have been a great outcome to put a $200,000 investment and get a $100,000 return. But because you've got 2 houses, it's gone up $200,000. And so you've effectively got a 100% return on your cash because the strategy did the heavy lifting when the market came up, and so like they worked together, and that strategy, because of the nature of it and the characteristics of having 2 houses, not one, created a supercharged leverage situation.
And I think when we went and did the valuation for the build, the valuer didn't even know how to value it.
No.
I was on the phone to the valuer telling them how to value the property. They're like, we've never seen one of these before. I'm going, okay, so this is how you should value it. I'd love you to value it this way, but you can't until the very, very end. She laughed. She goes, yeah, I know. But we had a 500K uplift just on the val. It went from like 740 to 1.25 million.
You used your skills to get the outcome.
Correct. It's all about who's on your team.
Yeah, well, that's right. Like, if you're using, Aussie home loans at God knows where, like I'm sure they're great broker for just doing a unit or a regular house kind of thing. I'm sure they're fine. But doing a more complex purchase with construction loan and then value uplifts and things like that. It's like, I tell you what, I want you doing that for me. I don't want some, random guy from Mortgage Choice who, can do it for small ones easy, but not. It's the same with the buyer's agent thing, like me. Like, you don't want the buyer's agent who's just out there buying regular houses coming and buying this type of strategy.
Because they wouldn't know what to do with it.
It would be a disaster.
Yeah. But I think you're right. Look, and thanks for those guys.
Yeah, I mean it.
But it's all about understanding. And it's, because I knew the value and I needed to figure out how to be better. Like I knew how to do it. It's just, how do I sequence it? It's sequencing and it's strategy at the end of the day. This is what I do, debt structure and strategy. And I can tell you, I mean, this probably doesn't mean a lot to you, but the debt is structured under 2 trusts. Now, do you know how hard that is to do?
Yeah.
In the current trust lending environment? I can tell you it's bloody hard.
I can only imagine.
So, but then you look at the couple of people in 2 more recent times, like there's two in particular that I've sent you. Mate, they're already ready to go. War chests are out, strategies. Chris, here's the strategy. Can you just go do what you do and let me know when you do it? Because here's all the contingencies I have in place.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to speak to James and Grace.
Already signed up.
Oh, amazing. Mate, they're already ready to go. They've got the war chest. We've already found property number 1, which is the rooming, which is what they wanted. And that they've already seen Morgan, who's awesome. He set up the trust structure for that particular
Morgan
one.
Wilson, great accountant.
Yeah,
Gonna
it's
give him a
very
shout
good.
out.
Yes. He does great things, but he understands because he's actually got a bloody strategy to work out of. I'm not sending him going, can you just talk to them about your tax? And they might want to set a trust up. But it's like, hey, Morgan, bit of context and purpose here. Obviously, I asked Jane and Grace whether I could share the strategy with them, and they're like, yeah, why not? I'm like, well, it's your strategy. So, yeah. But basically, it's gone, bang, this is what we're doing. This is where we are. This is where we want to be. This is why I need to do it this way. Then they're going to see and sequenced out what they're looking at doing.
I've seen it happen many times with accountants, and it's not that the accountant's done anything wrong. It's the accountant has assumed that the goal is something different. It's around creating trusts and a difference between a personal and the corporate trustee. We've had it a few times now where the broker thought it was being set up as a corporate trustee, and then the accountant thought it was better to set it up as a personal trustee. Had totally different reasons for doing that. Neither were necessarily wrong. There was just they had a different goal in mind, and the goal was not communicated correctly, and so that caused problems. Even my own cousin had that exact problem.
I think I had this conversation with him actually.
He
I'm
did,
like, can you maybe
your trust is set up incorrectly.
They're like,
but that is mitigated.
But you don't know what you don't know.
Of course you don't.
They wouldn't have known. I 100%
Was
know
having a team all working towards the same goal, knowing what the strategy is, makes a big difference.
Because there's a very, very big difference between setting it up for like strategy or just setting it up for the sake of setting it up, right? Now, Jana has her trust under her personal name. That's advice from the accountant. Did I have a second opinion on that? Of course I did.
You probably pushed back on that a bit.
Oh, this is actually really bad for structure. However, it suits what she wants to do, right? And that's cool because she's like, well, I don't really want to do anything more after this. Fantastic. Great. We'll just park that. But I do. So my structure had to be, and I'm also more at risk because I'm a business owner, asset protection, but I also have estate planning. See how now this is now more than just how you set up the purchase. It's how are you setting up the next 15, 20 years? Why is the entity even exist?
I think right now I should tag Morgan Wilson into this call, into this instead of me, because this is getting out of my, my realm of understanding.
But that's what I mean by the understanding. Like they're coming to you unorganized.
Yes.
What are you purchasing it under? And I know one of the first questions you ask is, what are you purchasing it under?
What's your entity? I need it for appointment to act forms.
Quick. Let's go. I think that's one of the other mistakes they make, right? Like investors make these heaps of mistakes, but one of the biggest ones is we've already talked about not being organized and not having the right team. What other stuff are you seeing that where some of these major mistakes are happening that stop you from growing or you've overcapitalized?
I think the biggest one for me is that you don't know what you don't know, and making assumptions based on something that they heard somewhere or somebody said to them without the correct context for their circumstance. Like the granny flats, perfect example. People running into granny flats because Jack Henderson's out there doing these fancy ads suggesting that granny flats are this fantastic investment strategy because it's like, oh, you buy this property and we'll build you a granny flat and then it'll be close to cash flow neutral or something like that. It's like, yeah, okay, that's not a horrendous thing, but what the part that's being forgotten in there is, but you haven't created any value. You bought a property for $800,000, spent $200,000 on a granny flat, and then got $1 million of value at the end of it. It's like, sure, that it does tick the box for rental income, and it definitely increases cash flow, no question. But the question that I'd be asking is, so what's happening to the value? How much value is being increased? And because that doesn't get asked, doesn't get brought up, because it's not. I guess that's not helpful to the strategy. And I'm not having a go at the guy. Like I think that. There's people doing far worse
and there
things.
are sites that you can only do that to
and there's
anyway.
some sites where that's
good.
all that can be done, and that's not a terrible thing. But it's like, just feels like, I think people don't get the whole picture, and they've made an assumption of, granny flats are great, and look, they can be. There's some situations where granny flats work, but I just think in general, just compared to what we're doing, like a granny flat is just
and they're absolutely two different strategies.
Totally.
And sometimes it's very site dependent. Like we looked at this site and it's like, geez, if you're putting a granny flat, that's actually a waste of 250,000 or 200,000, whatever.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't actually, but whereas knowing the planning schemes and everything like that.
Well, it
knowing
comes
what you
down
know,
to strategy, Dion.
Yeah.
And if a property can only do that and fit a granny flat, sure. But like, what would have been smarter is, like, I've had quite a few people come and they now get recommended to me because they'll talk to somebody and say, I'm going to buy this house and we're going to build a granny flat on them. And I'm quite vocal on LinkedIn about my dislike of granny flats. We even have hats that say granny flats suck. And they come to us and someone goes, talk to this guy first. And they come to me and they go, oh my, like, imagine if I did a granny flat. I didn't know you could even do this. And it comes down to that strategy piece of, well, they didn't know any better. They just assumed that because that's what they're seeing on the Facebook ads, that must be the best thing that's happening. It's like, well, it's something that's happening that's easy to purchase and easy to build. And so someone's able to build a replicatable business model and marketing machine around that. See what we do, and it's terrible. My business is nowhere near as good as that. It'd be much better if I was doing granny flats because it's really hard. Like they're unicorns, the properties that we're trying to purchase. And so that makes it really, really hard.
But you're niched.
Well, we're niche and we're very good at it. And, people come to us for that now. And I even got recommended, someone referred me who I had never heard of the other day. And I thought that was a huge boon. I was like, oh, wow. Got the name out there enough. People know we're doing this.
People know.
How good. Yeah.
But that's also, like you're saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And then you need to actually find out more.
Yeah.
Like, can you do it? Should you do it? Yeah. And how do you do it?
Look, and realistically as well, that's the minefield, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you find all that out?
Well, shit, Chris, I don't have the time.
No.
I'd rather just go make more. I'd like to serve more clients, get them more wealthy, and refer them on to you. You can do your job. Like, you're definitely not going to come and do my job.
No, thanks.
But
I've seen what you do. It's very, very difficult. Yeah.
But it is for you because it's not what you do. But what I think your job's difficult because
both are true.
Yeah. But you repeat, your processes are repeated, like rinse and repeat. My processes are rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
That's why we work well together because we'd actually go, even though like you're right next door, it's more like, hey, I've got confidence that you'll get the right. You've got confidence.
It's not even confidence, it's certainty.
Yeah.
I've got certainty that someone goes to you and is going to get the outcome and vice versa.
Or they're just not, but the outcome, whether that be yes, no, or hey, man, you need to hold off.
Yeah.
But still have the conversation so we have a plan.
Of course.
Like old mate, what's his name? He's come back to you after 6 months.
I know.
He's actually just reached out to me.
I do.
I'm
That's
like,
good. I'm glad.
Yeah. So I'm like, yep, mate, no worries. You were very lucky to do what we did for you.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it anymore with the trust lending.
Right.
With where we went to. The bank doesn't do it anymore.
You changed his trust lending before the rules
changed all his trust structures and stuff.
He's very fortunate.
Yeah, he's very, very... Well, I've given him the war chest.
Yeah.
I've given him a plan.
Yeah.
I go, mate. But he's trying to break the plan and go, I want to buy an owner-occupied. I'm going, for God's sake, don't buy the owner-occupied.
Yeah, well, because it comes down to strategy again.
Yeah.
The strategy when he came to you was, I'm going to go to Chris and we're going to build one of these, value-add projects. Cool. So the structure was set up based on that and then going, hang on, I'm going to, buy a $2 million flashy house. It's like, well, we didn't set up the structure for that.
No, you can't do that now.
Yeah, you can't do that now because.
But I'm like, well, why didn't you just go rent the flashy $2 million
that's
house?
right.
It'll be a lot cheaper. Then you've got, and I've actually turned it like the way we've done it. We've gone from like the 2 properties or 3 properties. One's an owner occ, no debt. The other one's got own investment in his name, and then there's a trust.
Yeah.
We'll actually end up with like 5 properties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 properties. All, and one like no debt. It's all that cash flow piece. And they're all like not over leveraged because they're all at like 65, 70% LVR.
Lucky guy.
Yeah.
Lucky to have you on his team.
Yeah, well, hope it's execution though. But we'll get there. Mate, we're going to wrap that up because Lycora Street is one of many projects. And I want to talk, I'm going to pick your brain in our next episode a little bit more about more technical stuff and more just giving information around the, I guess, what to look for, what not to look for in your psychology of things rather than the actual physical product.
And don't forget, Lycora Street, you haven't turned 740 into 1.6. You've turned 740 into 1.7. So that needs to be now.
Need to update. God
Needs to
damn
update
it.
everything.
It needs to be a new reel. I got to get back out on site. But we're actually almost ready to pour slab.
Yep.
We're just waiting on the BA to be done.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
We heard there was some, things happened around that,
Fun
but that's
times,
okay.
but it happens,
Yeah,
right?
it's not a disaster. It's a speed bump.
Oh,
Yeah.
but the front house is rented.
Yeah.
It's like it's covering. We've got the building finance ready to go. It's just sitting there waiting.
Little delay.
Yeah, it's not. We don't care.
Big deal.
I reckon it'll get done pretty quickly as soon as they start because the builders are ready to go.
Yep. Perfect.
They actually just keep delaying the concreting guys every week. They book them out a week. Oh no, it's not happening. Book them out the next week. So very smart. But mate, thanks for coming on. How does one get in touch with you?
The best is to go to our website, lucid, LUCIDPI.com, and you'll find it all there. And if you're interested in hearing more about how I see property and all of that, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. And so I don't know my LinkedIn address, but you can add it on the, it must be linkedin.com slash
it's just Chris McNulty. Just look up
McNulty.
Chris
My
McNulty.
last name's hard to find, so
MCK.
MCKNOULTY.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to find. And just on that, I did touch on that Chris does work in the Emerge office. But the one thing I will say is we work very independently of each other.
Oh, yeah. I
So
have no
I
clue what you're
I
doing.
don't pay Chris any money.
No.
Chris doesn't pay me any money
no.
or Emerge. We're independent. You're getting independent, unbiased advice.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone stays in their
Well, that's why
lane,
we
and
ended up
work.
in the same office with Adam and the rest of the guys as well, doing a lot of work, and it just sort of made sense.
Yeah.
It's the most organic way that possible.
Exactly.
I do pay rent for the office, by the way.
Yeah, they do pay rent. Yeah, definitely pay rent. No, but mate, look, like I said, we're like with all our podcasts, all the information on this podcast, very general in nature, doesn't take into consideration your personal circumstances. If you need to know more about your finances, come and speak to me. If you want to talk property strategy, speak to Chris, but he's probably then going to ask you, what is your finance strategy? And then you'll come to me. So I can be found very easily on Instagram at Dion Finance Specialist, Dion Fernandez on LinkedIn. I'm also pretty active there, giving all my free education is on there. This podcast's got its own website, financespropertythat.com.au. You can find it on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. But until the next episode, we'll see you later and thanks for listening.